10.1.0, the release of the Judgment Killer and Aurora is finally here, and I have absolutely nothing negative to say about this update, actually. Let me cover through the perks real quick before we hop into Judgment, because I actually really want to talk about Judgment. I'm a bit late to the party about talking about a certain add-on that people want base kit, and I want to go into why I think it's a horrible idea. Overall, there's a bunch of perk changes this time. Main ones are going to be Nurse's Calling, which is just getting a bug that was bug fixed back into actually being part of the perk. Nurse's Calling, Colubrine, Chlorophobia, Thrill the Hunt, Stabiffle, which is apparently called Keep Them Waiting since we lost the license. I hate that name, that needs to get changed. And Nowhere to Hide all got like basic number changes, they're all pretty good. Important to note is that for the early access thing that was over the weekend for certain people who got in, I complained about the lack of patch notes, because how are you supposed to test stuff when you don't know what's in the update? Especially when you want to show it as an early access thing for early videos. And it seems everyone just made videos on Judgment, so we missed a lot of important stuff. But Nowhere to Hide and the patch notes have a dev note about how they are going to revert it. Currently, it was changed to 18. They're going to revert it back to 24 while making it only around the generator instead of from you when you kick the gen. So it's going to be from the gen you kick, 24 radius around it instead of from the killer. That's the same way the ultimate weapon nerf happened, so very happy that they're finally doing that for Nowhere to Hide. That was a much needed change and something that feels kind of obvious for more experienced players in my opinion. As for the survivor changes, there are some that are kind of meaningless as well as some good ones. The good ones are like Technician is kind of meaningless. Moment of Glory is good, Clean Break's good, Adrenaline, I don't know why we're buffing the perk, but that's fine. The Vigil nerf is good, Sprint Burst nerf is good. Apocalyptic Ingenuity, I can't say the word, buff is fine. Like, nerfing all the ones that require multiple chests to just one chest is just a good idea. But there's one change that's really useless. The Technician buff's whatever, no one really uses it. But the one change that's really useless is Deliverance, where they're just increasing the broken timer to 2 minutes instead of 1 minute. But the problem with Deli is the usage of it during in-game, when there's like 0 gens left and you just unhook yourself and then walk out the exit gate. They did nerf the unhook protections this update from 15 to 10 seconds for endurance and haste, but that doesn't really fix the problem of Deliverance when you can just walk out the door and then you have supposedly a few teammates if it's in-game and you're not losing, like at least 2 teammates that can come and body block for you on the way out. And at that point, it's like, the perk's not fixed, it's just slightly worse before endgame, you know? So, I'm not happy about that change. Deliverance just shouldn't work in the endgame, but to compensate, your hook should highlight yellow, or like a Deliverance icon on the UI or something, because the most annoying part about Deliverance is your teammate unhooking you, and let me assure you, your teammates are not hitting tab to look at the perks when they load into the lobby like they should be. One perk that needs just a new addition to it instead of number changes is Repressed Alliance. Originally, they were going to increase the amount of blocks to gen, which would have been wrong, but then they changed it to being 15 seconds of blockage, which is good. That's a good idea, is to nerf it lower the number, because the idea is to make the killer not able to kick it so that they leave, and you want to hop back on the generator as quick as possible. However, it should really just have a timer of like 45 seconds, and then if you walk up to the generator, you can turn it off early. That seems pretty like a good buff to repress that would like make a lot more sense than just changing the number of how long it's blocked for. I think that was suggested when the perk first came out in 2020, so would love to see that finally come to the game. One thing that I really want to go into is that there's 2 really useful things from this update that are the new gameplay showcase sections, which from my understanding you find by clicking on the killer's power, and the hook timer division. I love the little gifts that they play. The tooltips are really well made. There's some good ones. I know the person who made the Wesker tooltip, so it's not really made by behavior. They did get consultants who then asked dedicated players of the characters what they would list for a tooltip to be added. And they did include those, and it's really wonderfully done. I'm very happy Behavior included this. It's amazing for new players. It's amazing for players that want to get better and might not know some subtle things. And it's a good step in the right direction, especially when new killers release. Judgment does not have any gifts made, which is concerning, but new feature. I'm sure the next killer will have them. Behavior, this is an easy leg up to be a good sign of moving forward. But all in all, it's just a good addition. I have nothing negative to say about it. There was one tooltip that I thought was wrong, or at least kind of should be scrutinized, but overall it was just a good change. And then the hook timer division of showing how long each hook state lasts for the first and second stage is also really good. It's kind of buffs self-unhooking Deli because it lets you unhook at the very last second while knowing about it, but it's still just a good change. That's the one negative thing about it, but it lets people know, like, oh, that person's halfway through first stage, or, oh, we can stun his gen a little bit longer, their hook stage just started, it's still 70% of the way, I can wait probably till about this part of the meter, things like that. Stuff that you will learn it just instinctively as an experienced player is now something that newcomers will also be able to easily identify, and that's just good. That's a good change. Now, I am not a fan of elusive becoming base kill on unhook. I'm just gonna leave that. I don't think that should be a thing. The 10-second endurance and haste, that's fine. Just leave it at 10 seconds. I don't like the elusive. I don't have anything else to note on that. If you like the elusive, I feel like you're over-relying on base game features instead of being good at the game. Maybe that's just me. I don't want to insult, but there are people who rely on base game features instead of just trying to get better, and I think the unhook protections are part of that for the most part. So I'm just gonna leave that there. We'll talk perks before getting into Judgment as well for the 6 new perks in the game, and we'll start with Aurora. First of all, love her design. Very, very good. This is the design that the community voted on, and it came out wonderfully. Her cosmetics are cute. Her voice lines are alright. I did have this one moment where it's like, now don't move 3 times in a row because I was picking up a slug survivor, which was kind of funny about getting the same voice line back to back to back, but I'm sure if behavior adds a toggle for voice lines like I've been asking them to, it won't become annoying. Especially if they're giving voice lines to older characters, please add a toggle behavior. I will keep bothering them about that. As for the 3 perks, you got Fruits of Your Labor. Whenever a generator is completed, you earn a token. When you finish repairing a generator for each token, you gain 5% haste and 20% healing progress, which means if you pop the final gen, you do get healed. It's kind of niche compared to Adrenaline, because Adrenaline will activate no matter what for that haste and healing, but this perk activates throughout the match, but you have to be on the gen that pops. It's alright. I don't have anything negative to say about it. Obviously, if it had higher values, it'd be better, but that can also make it too strong, because you pop 1 generator, and then the haste, and then you get like 50% haste for, say, like 10 seconds or something. That's just absurd for popping 1 gen, right? Which you have to do anyway. You shouldn't be extremely rewarded for finishing your objective as Survivor, because the reward is getting closer to the exit gate. Salvation's Cry. Whenever this killer starts chasing you, you see the auras of other survivors. Survivors not being chased see your aura, and as far as not being chased see the killer's aura. This is just like a reverse version of Wandering Eye for like that injured survivor radius thing. It's not bad. Bond's better, obviously, to not lead the killer to your teammates, but it could let those survivors know if the killer's like maybe looking around for like any aura reads or something. So there's some niche uses that rely on the other survivor's skill level, but it should still be alright to use independently even in your solo queue matches for just like good information. And then the last perk could be problematic, called Boon Steadfast, which when you boon a totem, all gens within the radius regress 50% slower, and survivors repair 10% faster, and they see all the auras of the generators affected by this boon totem inside the radius when they themselves are inside the radius. I don't like this perk. I think it's a horrible idea. I know the community voted on it, but obviously the community is going to vote for the best perks that, you know, help their side win the most. I did not personally vote for this one because it sounds like trash. I feel like the regress 50% slower should be removed, because if you have to do that and then kick the boon as well, that's just kind of like, it's just stacking slowdown in the radius on top of each other. And sure, if you're near the gen, you can probably hear the boon, but if it's like 2 floors, like mid-witch, that affects so many gens. I have a clip of that. I might try putting on screen of playing Survivor where it affects 2 gens on separate floors. It's like that. It's just excessive in terms of value there. So I wouldn't mind if the regress 50% slower was removed and it only gives you like the 10% increased gen speed. But you can keep the regress slower thing in the game if you add in Shattered Hope base kit for kicking boons. Or just like some way of making boons like be able to remove permanently. Because you gotta keep in mind there's 4 survivors in a game. I had a few games, obviously it's a new perk, so it's going to be ran more than normal, but I had a few games where multiple survivors have this perk, and it's just like, I can't kick 3 totems back to back to back, all in different spots around the map, as a slow killer like Judgment with no movement. By the time I kicked the second one, the first person probably already set back up their first one instead of doing the gen, because they want the faster gen progress. Plus then there's like, I'm not in chase, so I'm not getting pressure. I'm not getting like any injures or hook protection. It's just, I don't like that. So if they added a way to permanently remove a totem, and then make it to where you can't rekindle it for Pentimento or whatever, that would be fine. Or maybe make Shatter Hope worth running, because then that'd be pretty good. I feel like Shatter Hope would be good if you could just normally break totems anyway, instead of having to rely on Survivor's perk though, so maybe that's just me. But that's the only perk that's like problematic, and even then, it's not that good, because you're still setting up a totem which lets the killer get free pressure chasing a survivor. Unironically, I'm gonna say this, it's only 10% in a radius, and sometimes there are totems that don't affect any generators, and some gens just aren't affected by totems anyway. But I would still like this perk to be scrutinized really heavily in the future, especially if people commonly run it with Hyperfocus Stakeout Deja Vu, which Deja Vu, originally built to fix 3 gens, still hasn't been nerfed after the base kit 3 gen thing, which is really annoying. But I digress. As for the new killer perks, you have Celestial Witness. Every 30 seconds, if the obsession is at least 40 meters away from you, you see the aura for 3 seconds, otherwise the farthest survivor becomes the obsession. 1, this perk should be buffed to 5 seconds. I think that's understandable. Your obsession will be swapping a lot during this match. The benefit of this perk is perks like Stabiffle, which, you know, you get penalized for attacking your obsession. That one's pretty useful, because if you think about it, it's, if you're chasing your obsession, it will then swap. So in that regard, it's pretty good. I can see a few other niche cases, like running it with the Nemesis perk. Nemesis. Not from the Nemesis killer, it's from Oni, the Oni perk called Nemesis. That gets you free every 30 seconds. If it's a different further survivor, you get better aura read on them, as well as making them oblivious. That could be a fun combo. Making friends till the end even more like weird. You could combine it with Game of Foot and constantly have your obsession swap. There's a lot of fun idea. I think this perk is just going to be a staple of fun obsession builds to run, even if in and of itself it's not good, but I still think it needs that minor aura buff to make it possibly worth running by itself. Second perk, Hex Under Your Thumb. The first time survivor gains a hook state, it ignites a totem. I'm really not a fan of these Hex totems spawning in later. It's a Hex, it should be a strong effect, and the downside is that it can get cleansed immediately. But whenever a running survivor gains haste within 32 meters of you, you are alerted. I gotta be honest, I didn't notice what this meant. I'm assuming just a noise notification, and that survivor cannot gain more than 15% haste at a time. This perk is good. It nerfs every single exhaustion in the game, bounce landing, life, sprint burst, etc. It nerfs stacking, which isn't a problem anymore because of diminishing returns. The next update should be buffing a lot of perks in terms of that, so that will be nice. But the perk's alright. I think it's going to be meta-defining. Obviously in PTB, we can't properly test it because people want to try the 3 new perks on Aurora. I didn't see many, like, haste perks being used, like Sprint Burst or Life or anything. So it was kind of hard to figure out and test in that regard. I had one, it was Shadow Step was more popular than anything else, which I'll talk about later. But I just didn't see many haste. So this will be a perk that I'll have to test more extensively in normal live servers, especially when Judgment is actually out and I'm playing for its Adept. So look forward to that. As of right now, I think the perk is fine, but I can't properly give an opinion on it until I play with it more. The last perk, Lay Waste, is whenever you damage a generator, for each charge it has, it regresses 2% faster with a cooldown of 45 seconds. This is another problem I have with Behavior's design philosophy. I don't understand why this perk has a cooldown. The cooldown is going to the generator. The cooldown is the survivor starting the generator so you can kick it again. The cooldown is if you have more than one slowdown perk, and you hit it with that slowdown perk, you can't kick it anymore. Like, you can't run this and turn back the clock and hit the same gen. This is something that annoys me. Like, Thrilling Tremors has a cooldown, and I don't know why. Like, the cooldown is getting another down. Same with, like, Surge doesn't have a cooldown. Why does Eruption have a cooldown? You know, like, the cooldown of Eruption is that you have to kick the gens and then get it down, and then it has a cooldown for some reason. Like, I want to kick the next gen to apply Eruption again for the next down that I hit. It was just weird. I would like if this just gets removed from a lot of the perks. And if it appears to be too obsessive, hey, or oppressive, that's on me. Like, we can add them back, but I really don't think it will be a problem. Otherwise, the perk's fine. Yeah, I don't know, the perk's fine. I don't have any other words for it. It's good for 3-genning. It's good on killers like Skull Merchant. It'll be chill. If they want to keep the cooldown, lower it to like 15, 20 seconds, man. Like, the survivors have to come back around and hit it. And if you're defending a 3-gen, like, there's the 8 kick limit on gens for regression events. I don't think we should be adding cooldowns on perks anymore. That's another reason why it should be. Anyway, let's go into the reason everyone's here. Judgment. How cool are they? I love their visual design. It's so awesome. All of their cosmetics are really good. Unironically, the brown tier cosmetics, the cheapest ones, look amazing. I was running the green one for obvious reasons, I think, but I just have no complaints. Like, this is the first killer in a long time where I have 0 complaints about the release. Literally 0. Granted, I don't think I had any complaints about Jason either, or Henry for that matter. My only complaint about Henry is that he's the pro. I'm probably gonna have to cut that part out. People will know why when I say Henry's the blank killer and it's cut. I think the last killer I had issues with was Krazu, and that was more of a PTB problem in terms of what they were testing than Krazu herself. Like, I have no complaints about Judgment. The power is really, really fun. Aura perks are gonna shine this killer for those cross range hits, because the killer basically has infinite distance, very similar to Huntress, except it can also hit through walls. So, like, I love range killers. Huntress is my wife. I am one of the best players on her. I decimated lobbies as Judgment. Now, granted, people are learning counterplay, and I'm still learning the killers. That will obviously adjust the more that people play against and as Judgment, but I like, generally, I have no complaints. The power is that you set out a beam, you aim it, and then when you are set on where it wants to go, you full send the beam. You're aiming 2 things at once, you're predicting survivor movement, you're playing around tiles. It's so much fun to play with. And when you send a survivor, or when you hit a survivor, they get like a cursed effect thing. I think it turns them into a heretic, I think is the official term, but it just gives them like a glowy effect that when you down them, you can then send them into a mystical realm that, when I played Survivor, I literally never experienced, because this killer is hard as balls to play. So every Judgment I went against sucked. I'm just gonna be honest. I feel bad saying that, but they were just bad. So I probably don't have any footage of it. But it sends you like to this realm. I have no idea what you do in there. I'm gonna be honest. This is basically based on my experiences. And when I play 5 matches of Survivor, I don't get sent in there once. I have no idea what that means. So you get like exiled or whatever. No idea. But you sending them there as killer, for some reason, I think it's a bug, but it activates perks like Barbecue. It doesn't work on Scourge Hooks, but it works on like perks like Barbecue. I'm pretty sure that means it'll also work on like Turn Back the Clock and stuff. Don't know why. Seems stupid. Probably a bug. I would not expect it to come to the game at all. But it lets you just send people to the exile. Survivors prey at statues by like dripping blood onto it to get people out of there. So you can unhook pretty fast through like 5 seconds of killer hooking them and then giving them unhook protections, but like it's so easy to tunnelize this killer. I don't think that's gonna be a problem either, especially because of how oppressive they can be in chase once you get like really, really good at the power. I can envision this killer being A tier. I feel like it's gonna be like Henry, where they're potential killer, where if you're good at your predictions, you're going to decimate lobbies, and if you miss your predictions, you're going to get humiliatedly bullied every lobby. But of course, when a survivor's on deathhook and you down them with the power and they're in that heretic status, there's also a mini Mori you can do. So that's cool. It's pretty quick. But the main idea is that you always want to exile people because you get buffs. It's like, I don't remember the state. I'm just gonna call it the rage state, because that's something that everyone can kind of understand, and the animation makes it look like you're getting mad. The rage state basically lets you just like, it increases the hitbox, the speed, it gives you more time for aiming, it just buffs your power to an untold degree. And it's the only reason I think the killer's fine, because the hitbox when you're playing this killer initially feels really, really bad until you get into that state, which requires a down, and then it's only 60 seconds. There is a add-on that increases the time of it based on you hooking the least hooked survivor, up to like a bonus of 50% of the initial time, so it goes from like 60 to 90 seconds. And I feel like that add-on kind of is going to be meta, just a little bit, because you kind of need to be in that state all game no matter what, and it's really, really hard to not want to be. So, yeah, I don't know, I have nothing negative to say. The killer's fun. I don't have any issues with the power. It has a super high skill ceiling. It has a super high skill floor, which is, as an experienced player, important to me. Now, there is one thing that I do need to talk about before I end, because so far I've been talking about my complaints and issues with the killer, but now we need to talk about other people's issues. There is an add-on called, I think, Prayer Needs, or whatever, that its entire purpose is that when you send out your beam and it hits an object, it stops in place until you full send. I hate this add-on. The fun part about Judgment to me is those prediction shots. It is that, like, do wild stuff to throw a survivor off guard. When you're in the rage state, you can kind of swerve it side to side to really throw them off and then full send and try hitting them that way, which I really enjoy doing after a few games. And I really don't want that to be removed for, like, console or accessibility reasons. And my reason is, yes, I love accessibility in this game. I'm a huge advocate for it. I've fought for those aura colors for years. I'm currently really annoying them about Spirit Heartbeat, where there needs to be a visual thing added to it, because that would help a lot for facing the spirit if you're hard of hearing or just don't have audio at that moment. Things like that. But I know, in my hearts of hearts, behavior does not care. There are a few other killers with accessibility issues besides Spirit that are related to what people hate about Judgment. Judgment has fast camera movement. Other killers that have that are Blight, where it causes nausea due to the filter that applies on the screen when you use your power, and the Lich, otherwise known as Vecna from Dungeons & Dragons, due to the power when you use Fly, changing your FOV. It makes people feel sick, it makes them feel nauseous, so they can't use that part of Vecna's power. Granted, it's good mobility, but it's not as important. Judgment has this thing where you send out the beam, and if you mess up, you have to 180 your camera around to maybe blind shot a survivor and try hitting them. Personally, I don't have a problem with this. I personally like it. I think it's fun. I'm not someone who has an accessibility issue with this power, so I'm gonna be heavily biased. But I don't want a killer that is going to be on the same wavelength of other killers with accessibility issues being nerfed in terms of fun factor because of that problem. And, like, if they change it for accessibility, it's whatever, but, like, this killer is already going to be unpopular, and I don't think making that add-on base kit is going to make people enjoy more, because you can also just run the add-on if that's a problem. And, of course, the counter-argument is you're going to lose an add-on slot, and I don't really know the counter-argument to that, because, like, yeah, there's a lot of add-ons in the game, killers in the game that lose add-on slots based on other things. That's completely normal. Springtrap has one for his arc, Nurse has one for seeing the visual. Unless they want to make these all toggles, which I doubt they will, it's going to be an add-on that you have to use. Now, that being said, there is another side of this argument. Controller players have said that it's kind of hard to play Judgment on controller. And a lot of people are saying, we gotta do this for the controller player, guys. It's important for them. Think about it. They can't play the community killer that we all voted on. And my counter argument is, I don't care, because this is like the 18th killer in the game that's harder to play on controller than keyboard. Every killer in general is harder to play on controller than keyboard due to like 360s and being an M1 and how the M1 logic works. Let's go down the list of killers that are punished by playing on controller comparison keyboard. Wraith, because of the extended lunge. Billy, because of chainsaw turn. Nurse, because of chain blinks. Myers, because of slaughtering strike. Huntress, because of aiming. Bubba, because of tantrums and having to dodge objects. You could include Freddy with snares, I'm not counting him. Plague, because of the plague vomit. Demo, because you have to fast aim shreds sometimes. Oni, because of the flicks. Oni was nerfed. Oni's skill ceiling was nerfed ages ago to compensate for controller players, and he's one of the most miserable killers in the game to face because you will always be able to 180 around corners. Deathslinger, aiming. Pyramid Head, aiming. Blight, flicking. Trickster, aiming. Nemesis, aiming. Cenobite, aiming. Artist is fine. Wesker, using your power, especially around like HUD text and stuff, harder to do. Singularity, aiming. Xenomorph, aiming. Chucky, dashing. Unknown, aiming. Dracula, aiming the Hellfire and Wolf form. Houndmaster, aiming. Springtrap, aiming. Henry, aiming, especially the fast aiming where you have to flick to suddenly hit people. Jason, aiming, and now Judgment. It is faster to list the amount of killers that are not nerfed by playing on console than it is to list the ones by playing on console. And you can still get good at these killers on controller, which is the entire reason I don't want them to nerf killers because because controller's harder. Like, yeah, it's harder. So is most of the cast. Killer's just harder to play on controller. That's why a lot of people on console play Survivor. And Survivor is actually better to play on controller. Like, this is a thing about DBD that's existed for 10 years. And it feels bad. Like, it feels bad seeing this discussion and having the opinion of, like, well, I don't want them to change it because I don't want the killer skill floor to get nerfed because, like, I'm an experienced player and I'm out of stuff to do. I like getting good at killers, so when they release a killer with a high skill ceiling, it lets me play them for longer without feeling bored or repetitive or anything. Like, I'm still playing Jason because there's a bunch of shots and getting good at the aim. And my main hunches for that reason is because her skill floor is so high that it's unachievable. So I would love to just, like, get another killer on my roster. That's entire thing is just getting good at the video. Now, if behavior makes that out on base kit, I won't be playing Judgment as much. So this is, like, in terms of how I want to play things. And there will be a few killers like this in the future that I'm sure they do this base kit, but I would love if they don't do it this time. Now, of course, I'm not behavior. I'm not in control of what they do. But I am scared. I think we'll just leave it at that. Otherwise, I have no complaints about Judgment. I think their kit's perfect. I wouldn't mind a small hitbox increase when out of the enraged state, but otherwise, like, I can just get good. This killer's super hard to play. It's a super high skill ceiling killer. Like, what can I say? It's gonna take some effort for me to get good and then decide what I actually want done on them. So, I hope everyone else, if your opinions on the Judgment chapter, I'd love to hear about them. I wish we got more perk changes, but I think that'll be next update. As well as next update should be new Rift. I think the dev said we're getting 2 mid-chapters in a row. So it'll be mid-chapter, Terrifier, because we didn't have a mid-chapter between Jason's release and this release. Because keep in mind, Shane and Jason were the same chapter. They weren't 2 chapters. They released at the same time. Shane was just introduced with the anniversary update, but his perks were in Jason's PTB. So we've gone chapter, so we should have mid-chapter. And that is something to look forward to, because one of them should be a meta shakeup. All right, that's it. Please tell me about your Judgment opinions. I would love to hear about them. A thumbs up.